let's go live. All right. Line this puppy up and get this shoe on the road. I had some entertainment. I have found out so much about Elementor in the last week as I've been.
Yeah, there's been a lot of changes to it, and you sent me those links. Two of them I've already tried, but I'm gonna try mixing and matching now.
Yeah, well, I was because I'm about to put together, as soon as I finish this one project website, which is getting really closer, I'll start on another pet project website, and I wanted to build a side menu like yours, so I started researching how to build one
Hmm.
and see what was done. That's why I sent you that to have a left aligned menu. You can actually buy templates for it.
Yeah, you can. That would make it a lot easier.
Yes, I know. It's like I was really tempted. The guy only wanted $3 for him or something like that.
Really?
Yeah, I think.
That's
Did
cool.
I send you a link to his thing? I think I sent you a link to his stuff.
I don't know. I looked at the information you sent me. I didn't look at anything else that was available.
Let's see. What did I send you? I sent you. Let's see. Where is it? I sent you
Yeah,
a couple of.
Elementor has changed
Oh,
quite a bit over these past couple of updates. Like, there's a lot more to it that I've been learning about.
yeah. Okay. Here it is. This is a guy at makedreamwebsite.com.
Oh yeah, that guy.
Elementor. You can buy that template if you.
Yeah, I was thinking about that.
But you can either buy the template or he put all the code on the page.
When I put his code into the site I'm working on, it worked, except it made the entire menu non-clickable.
Well, something's wrong.
Yeah, it didn't quite work out the way I needed it to.
But he had a spot on here, a link on here somewhere. So yeah, I want it as a ready template, a one-click install template, and you can go buy the template from him for, come on, load, dude. Saw it was only a couple of bucks. $2.99.
Well, maybe that's what I'll end up doing, because it'd be nice to at least have a template that you can muck about with.
Yeah, well, and that's it. You get the download template, you import the template. And so I started thinking about that. I said, if you get really good at making templates in WordPress, you can sell them like this guy's doing. Because he's actually got, when you click through to see the template and you go browse all his templates, he's got 27 templates here for doing all kinds of different things, and he ranges in price from $2.99 to $10.
Cool.
So
it's actually a really good idea.
So I thought, wow, I hadn't even thought about doing something like that. It's really kind of cool. But he's got video pop-up, postcards, unique sliders, full width menus, app landing, bubble overlay, Elementor shaking image hover effect.
Yeah, there's definitely a few things that we've created over the years in Elementor that would make amazing templates.
Yeah, well, that's the thing is you gotta pull them out and save them as a template, because you can export the template from Elementor, and then it can be imported into anybody's Elementor install,
which would be very useful.
Yeah. So anyway, I thought it was kind of cool when I was mucking about last night. I got on a bit of a bender and started researching, and I fell down the rabbit hole of, I want to make this work. How can I make this work? It's always entertaining when I get on the bender of how to make something work.
Yeah, I'm usually up till like 3, 4 in the morning. I'm like, oh no, I have to be up in 2 hours.
I draw the line at 11, 12 o'clock because I've already.
I don't even know what time it is because I get so sucked in. It's like I look at the clock. It's only 10 o'clock. I look at the clock again. It's 3 in the morning.
Yeah, well, that's a problem.
Yeah. I've actually been setting an alarm to tell me when it's getting late.
Yeah, well, you got to set alarms because well, you're young still. You can recover faster than me. I can't do the staying up until all hours of night. The next day, I may as well been drinking all night long.
Yeah, it's not fun.
Anyway, I thought this was kind of cool. No, what I've been fighting right now is I'm fighting how to create a certificate in WordPress.
A certificate?
Yeah, using a Well, I think I finally found some forms. I found solutions, but they want $400 a year for the solutions. Like, yeah, that's a bit much.
That's a lot.
That's out of my budget because I know your solution covers way more stuff, but I only need the one little piece of your solution. That's all I need is the one little piece. So I got to find something that's not, I'm willing to go up to $50 for it, but I'm not going to $400.
No, it's kind of extra outside budget.
Yeah, well, it's just downright crazy. So, so anyway, I think I found some solutions for Gravity Forms. I found one in Gravity Forms too, because what I need is I need a certificate. I need somebody to fill out a form, enter their name, date, and then hit enter, and it'll automatically produce a certificate based on additional info I've got tied into it, and then they can download that certificate or email it to themselves. And in Gravity Forms, I found something. They've got PDF generators that will produce certificates, because the biggest thing is they use the certificates in courses and everywhere, and it's just a PDF generation with a bunch of files that get put together. But I'm not going to full-blown course mode. I just need the bloody certificate. Anyway, there was a solution for Gravity Forms, but it was a very expensive one. I think it was $180 or 180 pounds per year, not dollars, 180 pounds.
What is that in Canadian money?
In Canadian money, well, it's 100 pounds is about 130 or 140 bucks right now, so $260. So that one there was out of reach too. It's like, yeah, no, no, that one won't work. So I'm digging, and the problem is it's so hard to find anything in WordPress repository, and and even in Google and Bing, it's like you guys are no longer returning the results I'm typing until I eventually create the right words, and also boom, oh, wait a sec. And so as I was searching in WordPress, I tripped across somebody, brand new plugins, by the way, brand new. They are like weeks old. And they're PDF generators that will produce certificates for all the major form plugins.
Oh, cool.
He's got separate PDF plugins, so I'm going to try that one and see if it'll work.
That sounds like a really good answer.
Yeah, well, it'll be something I can afford. That's the big problem. Is it something I can afford?
Yeah, I've noticed I've noticed this thing with AI. Any prompt or any way you're trying to search, it doesn't seem to be working out so well. I'm not sure why, but maybe that's the problem with Google right now, is they've brought their AI in to help with the search results.
Yeah.
And it's become a lot harder to search. I've been noticing that the more AI is being integrated into things, the harder it's becoming to search for things.
Could very well be. Could very well be. Really hard to say.
There's so much information right now floating around on AIs. Like some of the writers I've been coming across, they've actually been bringing up points that are not being addressed regarding AI.
Yep.
And then there's like the godfather of AI has bowed out and is warning of the dangers ahead.
Yeah, well, it's going to be entertaining. That enough. It's time for us to kick some music and take it to showtime.
All right.
These are the days of thunder. We're going to make time stand still. A quarter after midnight, and I'm watching the wall. Sometimes I feel so uptight, I just can't sleep at all. Every day doing the same old thing, we're losing time. The weekend comes, we gotta have some fun and rewind. These are the days of thunder. We're gonna make time stand still. We gotta feel the hunger, hanging over the edge just to taste a thrill. I feel the rope tightening, choking off our air.
There she be. I suppose it must be time.
Absolutely.
Let's get this show on the road.
Ladies and gentlemen, it is time for WordPress Plugins A to Z, not Z.
It's episode 600, and we have plugins for yearly archiving, searching AI, and WordPress news, all coming up on WordPress Plugins from A to Z. WordPress. It's the most popular content management and website solution on the internet. And with over 80,000 plugins to choose from, how do you separate the junk from the gems? Join us for a weekly, unrehearsed conversation about the latest and greatest in WordPress plugins. This is WordPress Plugins from A to Z. Well, good morning, good afternoon, or good evening, wherever you happen to be hiding out there on the globe today. Coming to you direct from the brewery overlooking beautiful southern Vancouver Island. I'm John Overall, and with me is the ever lovely
Amber Overall.
And we have a great show for you as we work through pounding our heads against WooCommerce and PDF files. If you want to know all about that, we had a really nice pre-stream today. Go check it out on YouTube's. And also, we've got all kinds of other great stuff coming along. Lots of really fun things. I should just write down some notes because I had something to say, but you know what?
Thank you for sharing, John. Now get down from that soapbox.
Welcome to episode 600, riding the WordPress plugins wave. We've got a couple great in-depth plugins to cover for you, some recent news in both the WordPress world and the tech world in general, and some awesome WordPress tips. It seems that the world is really just talking about AI these days. I mentioned that in our pre-stream too. I think it's really interesting. And I have to wonder if AI will actually develop to the point where we can get an AI bot to do the laundry and cooking for us. But then, I was also thinking about the fact that AIs would follow the instructions perfectly. And how many of us actually follow instructions and recipes absolutely perfectly? We always change it up, add a little, tweak it here and there. So if we did have an AI bot that cooked for us, would it actually taste as good as when a human cooks it?
It would be kind of bland.
That's kind of what I'm thinking. Hopefully everyone out there is keep themselves burn free in this beautiful human melting weather we're having. Be sure to add some extra salt into your diet while it's hot out there, because if you don't have the salt, your body can't hold the water. So drink the water, but make sure you have salt. Like, just eat salty chips or add salt to your snacks and stuff. And some reminders before we start the show today. Remember that the show starts at 12:30 p.m. Pacific time, with the pre-stream starting around 12:15 p.m. Pacific time. Pre-stream is where we twiddle with the dials and knobs and really just warm up our voices, have some entertaining conversations or informative conversations like we had today. Our show notes for each episode can be found at wpplugins.a2z.com. The newest show notes will be up within 24 hours and on our front page for you. And don't forget, this is a value for value show, and that you are a big part of its creation. You are our producers, and we need you to help us to produce. Get out there and hit some like buttons, share an episode or two, and let people know that you are here helping to produce the longest running WordPress plugins podcast. That's it for reminders. Don't forget to stick around till the end of the show for some possibly life-altering advice. Hi, Hemdian. Good to see you. So let's start this show with our art for today. Today's artist is Greg's Graphics. I really like this one. It's all like surfy and very summery and looks like a bunch of people having fun.
Oh yeah, I've never got a wave that big when I was surfing, but I have had some pretty decent sized waves.
I've never been surfing. I've been snowboarding, but not surfing.
I've never been snowboarding, but I imagine snowboarding is more like skateboarding on snow. Surfing is nothing like skateboarding. Surfing is a movement unto itself.
The difference I was told is that with snowboarding, you steer with the back. Surfing, you steer with the front.
Yeah. And it's real easy to find yourself at the bottom of that wave.
Yeah.
So
I've always wanted to go surfing, but our ocean is really freaking cold.
Here, and the waves here, everyone talks about the surfing over at Tofino and stuff. And it's like, no, those aren't waves. Those are what were in kiddie pools. Those aren't waves. I've been up there. It's like, no, those aren't waves. No. Now, granted, I had Southern California waves, which were pretty decent size, and if a storm came in, they were huge, but not nearly as huge as this. This is Hawaiian waves here.
Wouldn't it be really dangerous to go surfing in the storm?
Oh, no. Well, I never did because I wasn't crazy. But the absolute nut bar surfers, they jump on a board in the worst bloody storms to go catch the big-ass waves.
Haven't you just add something I completely agree with? Yes, fellow producers, we need more snarky comments in the chat. I completely agree.
Oh, yeah. All right.
On to the news.
Let's get on to the news.
Please, can everybody be quiet? Please be quiet. Shut up! And now the news with Amber.
So first up, we have the WordPress vulnerability report for May 10th, 2023. There is quite a list this week. There's a good, decent-sized list of plugins that have been patched, and then there's 42 plugins with vulnerabilities, and there are 5 theme vulnerabilities. Now, there are 2 themes that are double, but that's because there's more than one vulnerability in each of the themes. But for the plugins, of the 42, the ones I most easily recognize are Easy Appointments, WP Job Portal, and User Agent Spy. Now, most of them I just don't really recognize. I'm not sure if they're lesser ones or just ones I haven't really had to work with yet.
Yeah, well, you got to remember, there is, 70, 80,000 plugins in the repository and tens and thousands. So it's nowhere near like when I first started doing this show when there was less than 10,000 plugins total.
Yeah. Yeah, so you definitely go and check those out. For the themes, we have Editorial Mag, Jupiter X, and then we have the Gem for Elementor and the Gem for WP Bakery. Now, the Gem is got 2 vulnerabilities for Elementor and 2 for WP Bakery. So when you go and you look at the list, you'll see the Gem 4 times.
Yep. Oh, well.
So be sure to look over the list yourself and might want to work towards getting those updates done.
Yeah, or you might want to do what we've finally done is work and get away from using themes, period. And just start building out all your components in Elementor. Or I think you can do it if you use WP Bakery, you can do the same thing.
Yeah, it's definitely worth looking for ways around using a theme, I'm learning.
Well, what I'm finding is the websites, like I've launched 3 or 4 websites since we've done away with themes, and I'm finding the Elementor site is running wickedly fast.
Yeah, it's moving faster, and it has a lot more personalization capability.
Yeah. And
you can do a lot more with it when you're not trapped inside of a theme.
Yep. And you and once you figure out where all the little controls are for everything, you've got absolute universal controls over your fonts, your font sizes, your everything. It's so much easier. It's like I need to change all the buttons. Oh yeah, one spot changes all the buttons.
Exactly.
So yeah, it's like I'm finding it a whole lot easier once I got out of that theme mindset.
So next we have Essential Add-ons for Elementor patches critical privilege escalation vulnerability. So Essential Add-ons for Elementor had an unauthenticated privilege escalation vulnerability in version 5.7.2 found on May 8th. So far as it's known, the vulnerability has not been exploited, and they've managed to fix it as of May 11th. But be sure to go in and update if you are one of those who uses Essential Add-ons.
Yes. Essential Add-ons is a pretty popular add-on plugin.
Yeah. And then we have Advanced Custom Fields plugin has patched Reflected XSS vulnerability, which what that is it's a vulnerability that allows any unauthenticated user to steal sensitive information for privilege escalation on the WordPress site by tricking the privileged user to visit the crafted URL path or URL path.
Yep.
This vulnerability was discovered on May 4th and has not been exploited so far as I know. If you have not already, be sure to update to 6.1.6 to patch this ASAP.
Absolutely.
And then we have WordPress contributors discuss how Core can better enable AI innovation. like I said, AI is everywhere, man.
It absolutely is. It is the flavor of the month.
It is. So WordPress contributors, they seem to be a little bit worried about getting left behind since AI is really starting to take off. And even though it's a common thought that AI-powered website creation could become a threat to its existence, WordPress, excuse me, sorry. WordPress is worried that if it doesn't ensure the platform is easily pluggable for AI-powered extensions, that they're going to be left behind. So there's a lot of discussion going on regarding the AI being added in, plugged in, etc. And there does seem to be some excitement around adding AI into the core itself. The hope is that WordPress professionals and AI open source will be able to work together to create bigger and better everything.
Yeah. Well, let's hope it works.
Here's hoping. I don't know. My experiences with AI in the plugins and stuff so far has not been the best.
No, the AI I've tried that's not too bad. The one plugin that I grabbed and I think I covered half a dozen episodes or a dozen episodes so back when AI, it was in the winter. And I've used it recently on my one site to help me write some content, and it works fairly well. It produces some pretty decent content that I can then modify.
The content writing ones are seeming pretty good.
Oh, you're talking about the code writing ones, the one that Elementor just introduced.
Not just the code writing ones, but I'll get to that later when I do my plugin. But
okay,
AI seems to be having some issues, is what I'm finding.
Well, let's continue with the news then.
ACF launches new annual survey. So WP Engine has launched an annual survey for advanced custom fields, one of the plugins it acquired from Delicious Brains in 2022.
Yep.
There are more users, features, and active installs. The survey is a lengthier one with an estimated 15 minutes to complete. Primary goal with this feedback from the WP community is to see what the users would like to see in ACF. Yeah. I have high hopes that the new owners of ACF have indeed only improved rather than change it up so much that it no longer resembles the original or even does the same things.
Yeah, well, let's hope, because ACF is very useful. I haven't used it in quite some time, but there's times when you're building out a website, you need some custom fields, and
yeah,
Advanced Custom Fields plugin is really beautiful for tossing in those additional fields you need in different parts to do crazy and strange shit.
Delicious Brains created some amazing plugins.
They did, and I'm hoping that what is it that's got them now? WP Engine. I'm hoping WP Engine doesn't lose sight of where they were going with them.
Me too. Next up, we have Themium acquires Quirky Customizer Framework plugin. Weird names. Themium is a WordPress theme and plugin company that has now acquired the Quirky Customizer Framework plugin. In April 2023, the owner stated he was sunsetting the plugin, though now it has been taken over. The users will not have to worry about sunsetting on them. Hopefully, the new owners will keep their word and they will not change the plugin overly much, and they'll keep it going in the same spirit as it has been going in since it started.
Yeah. Well, they seem to be vetting buyers of popular plugins better than they did a couple of years ago.
They do seem to be, yeah. Like there's a whole background story in this article of how they met, why they ended up being able to buy this plugin. Yeah. So definitely go and check this out. It's got every single one of these articles that I talk about has a lot more information than I give.
Yeah.
I'm just giving the basics.
Well, that's the important part.
Hemdian said the hype around AI feels like the hype around XML when that was new.
God, I vaguely remember that.
I don't.
Well, you weren't involved in this when XML first kicked out. I remember doing stuff in XML. He's kind of right. He's kind of right there. That's interesting. I hadn't thought of it that way. We shall see what it brings for us, though.
Next, we have Master WP launches 2023 WordCamp US travel program with $10K in grants for underrepresented speaker groups. So WordCamp US is being held August 23rd to 25th in National Harbor. They have opened a call for speaker applications, and they are giving financial considerations that might be keeping anyone from applying. There are scholarships and grants available to help cover travel expenses. If you are interested in learning about the scholarships and grants available, please be sure to check out our show notes and click on the link. There is a whole list of them here, and likely one of them will be exactly what you need.
Yeah, quite possibly.
Next up, WordPress community team evolves WordCamp format to promote adoption, training, and networking for professionals. So in the past, WordCamps have had mostly predictable format of presenting inspirational talks. This year, they are hoping to shift the focus to innovation and adoption by way of accessible training and networking for users, builders, designers, and extenders. So I don't know if they're going to be changing their entire setup. They don't really go into much depth of whether or not they're going to be changing the layout or changing their setup. They just talk about they're changing their focus on what they want speakers to be giving to the WordCamp. So
Yeah.
might be something worth looking into.
Could be. Could be
And the last one I have today is generative AI is immature. Why abusing it is likely to end badly.
Well, it's kind of like beating your dog. Grows up, it's
Kinda,
gonna
yeah.
bite you and rip your throat out.
Well, this article talks about how AI it's kind of like an electronic child. The more we abuse it, the more likely it is to turn out abusive.
Well,
Perhaps not angry, since AI does not feel anything at this point, but who's to say it won't in the future have emotions? And if it does develop emotions with all this abuse, what kind of emotions will it develop?
Well, it'll be like every other parent raising kids. We got to damage it somehow. We don't give it a complex, we're not doing our job.
Well, I mean, there's the other thing too of if we keep abusing a thing, how is it going to think it's supposed to treat humans? Even if it never develops emotions, if it's always like just ones and zeros, like what is it going to think is the proper way to treat humans?
Who knows? Sounds like an interesting article, though.
This is a really good article. I highly recommend going through it. It's not just really interesting, it's also quite entertaining. So, worth checking out. And then we've got all of our extras, and we got some stuff on Microsoft, some digital stuff about reducing a digital footprint, talking about mainframes and AI, of course. So, and also Sweden is going to be paving the world's first permanent e-road for EV charging while driving. So there's some really cool stuff in the extras here. Absolutely worth checking out.
Alrighty. Let's wander on then.
Dragon rating time.
Alrighty. Plugin I've got for you today is called Annual Archive. And this is the plugin you didn't know you needed until you actually needed it, which is what happened to me several months back. And not even several months. It's only been a couple of months now. And basically what it was, client, we launched a website. They're going to be creating lots of posts. Actually, they're going to be creating a podcast site, and they're publishing daily, and they needed a way to show an archive of their daily posts, collated into weekly posts, collated into monthly posts, collated into annual posts. And if they continue on for several years, they'll need to collate it into decades, maybe. Who knows? But of course, if you've ever used the archive feature or the archive directory thing in WordPress, it does not give you those lists very easily. This plugin does. You can go in and customize it. It's got all kinds of great little short codes in it that you can use. It's got a widget that you can use and pick and choose all the ways for laying out on it. You can create the archives by day, week, month, year. And in a short code, you can also further create the archives by post, alphabetize them. You can create them by tags, and all sorts of other little tweaks can be done to return just the archive list you need. Now, this isn't the listing of them on a page. This is the little widget area that says archives, and they go in and look, says, oh, the week of such and such, the month of what year, or what year, or if you're long enough for decades, you can go in for decades. I should add this to johnoverall.com because I got posts going all the way back to 2003. So, I forget how much crap I've thrown at that website. At any rate, This is an excellent plugin. It's absolutely free, and it's really easy to set up, use sort of functionality, and it solves a problem you didn't even know you had until you need it. Go check it out. It's the Annual Archive plugin, and I give it a 5 dragon rating.
5 dragon from you. That's actually pretty rare.
Well, that's 3 in a row, actually. Last 3.
I know.
Well, that's because they've been free plugins. They fully solved the problem. They didn't have to go in and, I didn't have to go get a premium version to solve the problem. The free version solved the problem. That's always been my criteria to get a 5. If I had to buy the premium version because I needed to solve the problem and I was reviewing the premium version, I would give it a 5. But if I'm just reviewing a free plugin, they cap out at 4 simply because to get to the next level to solve the problem, they're going to charge you money. I don't have nothing against that, but how do I know it's actually going to work unless I can test the premium version? And
I was just thinking you're finding some really amazing plugins because you've had 5 3 times in a row. It's pretty awesome.
Yeah. Well, I've had these in my collection to cover for quite some time. So because they've solved problems for stuff we've been working on for the last several months. And I was like, I'll just save that plugin so I can get it in there.
So we have some WordPress tips.
All right.
Did you play the noise?
I played the Wii. I don't know why you can't hear it.
I don't know either. It's weird. All right. So in this segment, still looking for some feedback from our listeners or some additions. Like, are you guys finding any of this helpful? Do you find it unhelpful? Do you have something to add? Would love to get something back from our listeners on this section. So I have a few things here for a couple things for making sites. One of the places you can go to is code snippets to help you find bits of code to help you with your CSS and other things. If you just Google it, you'll find that you are able to find quite a bit. Just put in code snippets and you'll find pretty much what you're looking for. It's really great for taking bits and pieces, putting them together, or solving these little problems on your site. And when you're searching for the information, like say you're searching for how to build a sidebar, don't skip the videos if you prefer to read, and don't skip the writing if you prefer to watch videos. Do them both, because you will miss out on a lot of information if you tend to skip one or the other. And if you're like me and you just want to get to the part you are looking for in the videos, you can just keep skipping ahead until you see on the video that they're actually starting to do things.
Yep.
Because I know that the beginning of videos can be a little boring sometimes, because they want to give you a whole background and tell you exactly what they're going to do, which is very helpful for a lot of people. But then there's people who they don't need that. They just need to see what you do.
Yep.
So be aware that if you skip one or the other, you will miss out on a lot of information.
Yeah, that's I tend to skip the videos, or I look at the video and it's like, and then I scrub through it really fast to see if I can find what I'm looking for, and if I can't find it, I'll jump around in it, and if I still don't get it, I'll go back. But I definitely prefer reading because I can skim and read the document way faster than watching the video.
That is me too.
So, but you do have to look at the videos from time to time. And the hardest part I've got is, if I can understand the person's accents, and the accents varies. Like a Aussie and full-blown accent can be really hard to understand. So can a Brit, and the East Indians. They can be really tough to understand too. So,
you Canadian, you.
Well, what can I say? It's if you're not used to the accent, it can be hard to understand.
That is true.
Most entertaining ones are the full Scots.
Yeah, well, part of the reason why Scotsmen are so hard to understand is because when they talk, it's like they're in a race to finish their words, and then they've got the accent added in.
Yes, well, that's the whole problem. It's like they're grumbling the words underwater, and then they spit them up, and they come up in a bubble and go whoop, and you go, what? What the fuck? The hell was that?
So I've got a couple of beginner's tips.
Mm-hmm.
One of the biggest things I found when I was starting out is that I was able to get a lot more help when I simply admitted I didn't know something. Yeah. Even if it felt like I should know it for some reason, I just admitted I didn't know it, and I was able to get the help I needed that would get me moving forward again. So for people who are just starting out, don't be afraid to admit when you don't know something. You are not likely going to get too much flack from whomever you are working with. They'll probably bug you a little, but not too much. And you will gain respect alongside the help, because when you just admit you don't know, people are always more willing to teach you. And something I have noticed is that Google is still one of the best search engines to search up tech information of just about any kind. If you use DuckDuckGo or Bing or one of those other guys, you might notice that your search results are a little sad. Try going to Google, and most of the time you'll find what you're looking for, and you'll find it pretty fast.
Yeah, that's one of the things I had noticed over the last couple of years. Initially, Bing had better search results for tech than Google, and then they sort of decided tech results weren't important. And Google's were suffering, but I guess they've sort of switched places again. So
Yeah.
DuckDuckGo's results, they started out good, but now their results for, it doesn't matter what you're searching for there, it's useless.
I've noticed. I'm gonna have to change my auto search bar again.
I had to change my default thing from DuckDuckGo. I use Bing as my default now, which gets me most everything I need. But every time I have to go looking up tech stuff, I got to go to Google.
Yeah, Google is the main place to go, but
Yeah.
I mean, also it probably will change again
Oh yeah,
because they seem to split places.
yeah. Well, they get better and then they get worse. It's like as they mess with their algorithms to deal with all of the stuff they don't want you to find.
So my plugin today is
your
AI
plugin.
search bar. I thought this search bar, I figured it might be more impressive than ones I've used in the past, what with the AI helping to connect all the dots and whatnot. So I decided to give it a go. This is a new plugin, fresh off the line. So I was excited to test it out. Once it's downloaded and activated, you can find the dashboard in the left-hand menu on its own as AI search bar. You click on that and you will see AI search bar below it. This is where you go to put in the AIP key. And if you are not sure how to do that, no worries. They give you a link and you just need to follow that link. It'll take you directly to where you make your new secret code key, and you can go back to the dashboard. But in order to put in, you have to you go back, you put it in there, and then once you got your API key put in there, you need to go down next to documentation. Here you will find the instructions on the short code you need. The way to use this is to put the short code they give you into your post, page, or template if you're using a theme or if you're using something that has a template option. Wherever you put your short code, you will have a search bar show up that has a blue outline with a blue search button. When I tested this out, it does seem to work. It does not seem to work as well as plugins like Ivory Search. If the search term does not ping anything, all you get to see is the page refresh. There's no notification that nothing was found, no offering of anything that might be connected. It just looks the same. It looks like it refreshed. That's it. I put in search terms that should have pinged back more than one item, but it didn't. The search bar does work, though it does not have the richness that other search bar plugins have. It seems to only be able to pull up some, not all of the search results. Admittedly, this is not overly different from the WordPress search bar. The WordPress search bar does not tend to pull up all of the results either. It's just this one has the pre-made search bar, so you don't get to choose the colors or anything like that. It's just pre-made. You put in the short code and you get what you get. I personally don't think that the plugin is overly efficient, and this has kind of led me to the conclusion that AI just isn't quite ready to be a search bar yet. I would love to hear back from any listeners who have tried this out and may have gotten a different result, or if you've gotten the same result, I'd love to hear about that as well. So this is for AI search bar plugin. I rate it at 2 dragons.
I haven't played that in quite some time.
I know.
That's sad. Well, the problem is they're trying to do so much. Everybody's rushing to get stuff out on AI, so there's going to be a lot of things that won't work well. It's kind of like the initial rush to e-commerce stores for WordPress. There was a big rush, and there was a lot of e-commerce plugins. Now we're down to like 3 or 4 that are actually good. And
All right.
one is the Prime one, which is WooCommerce. But way back when it first started, there were several dozens of them. And some of them were really good, but unfortunately, they couldn't get the marketing to continue to get the income to develop it out. And
So this is probably going to end up the same way. Hey?
this is going to end up the same way. We're going to have all these dozens of plugins, and what's going to happen is eventually the people who tried and they just couldn't get it to work, they'll fall off by the wayside, and the people who managed to get it to work, they'll rise up, and it'll get better and better as it goes. So it's just one of those things that happens whenever you've got something new and innovative. You get all kinds of people in that new and innovative space, but some people are smart, some people not so smart, and the not so smart ones end up falling by the wayside. Now, the problem is sometimes the smart ones create something beautiful, fully functional, but yet they can't get the backing to take it to the next level. Like I remember a membership plugin this guy created. The most magnificent membership plugin I had ever used. I even did an interview with the guy. I had several years back. You can go through the archives of the show to find it. But it was the most amazing plugin. And then 3 months later, he threw in the towel because he was getting abuse from the WordPress community. He couldn't get anyone to support him. I don't know where the problems were. And then he disappeared for a while, and he tried to bring it back when he found some little support, but he was never able to get it off the ground, which is really a shame because it blew away virtually every membership plugin that existed at the time.
That's too bad.
Yeah, so that's what happens. It's the way the market works, man. You get winners, you get losers.
Well, on to our producer know-how and donation segment. No music?
Yep. No. Yeah, that's right.
It's time to donate to WP Plugins A-Z.
Still not used to where all these things are supposed to pop in.
It's okay. You'll eventually get used to it. And then as soon as you get used to it, we'll change it up again just to keep you on your toes.
Yeah.
So, some ways to join in and be part of your own production and support the show at the same time. You can reach out to John and get yourself interviewed. You can send in your plugin reviews or suggestions for a plugin review. You can send in your own plugin license and add it to the contest. You can send in questions and or comments. Or you can simply support us by subscribing, donating, and pressing that like button on the Facebook or the YouTube channel. And you can also earn yourself a producership credit. We have 3 levels of producers that help to keep the show's lighters stocked to the bursting. We have our freelance producers, backroom producers, and war room producers. There are special perks for backroom and war room producers that you can learn about on our site at WPPluginsA-Z.com. You can click on Time, Treasure, or Talent donations in our main menu to learn all the nitty-gritty details on how you can add in your 2 cents. And there's also a basic overview right here in our show notes. You just go to our site and check it out. And we do have a message from one of our listeners today.
Okay.
Hi, Amber and John. I have a domain name and want to do a section that has nothing to do with that domain name. Is there a way other than buying another domain name to do a section of the website that is linked to my site with the URL, not showing my actual domain name? So if my domain name is greatpeople.com, but I want to make a section for my child to do his interest, example, video games, but I don't want the URL to say greatpeople.com, is there a way to do that without buying another domain name?
No.
I hope that makes sense. Thanks for your time and keep up the good work, James.
No.
No?
If you've got one site, you're gonna use that primary domain. The closest you could come is WordPress multi-user site, and create a subdomain for it. But if you wanted it to have its own name and not show your domain, you have to have another domain for it to go to. And at this point here, if you use WordPress, if you use multi-user and the right configurations and add-ons, you can actually have the domain your primary domain never shown, only the secondary one. But there's no way to do it without having 2 separate domains. not if you want the greatpeople.com to not show up and not be in the URL. If you wanted, so for example, video games, you could have videogames.greatpeople.com, but that's the most you can do. You can't do anything else. But if you had videogames.com, then you'd have to set up a multi-user site and map that domain, and that's all they would see. But they could still find it typing in videogames.greatpeople.com, or you basically set up a whole different website and a different and if you're on most cPanel accounts, you're allowed add-on domains. And so you could just add it on as a separate domain to have its own separate folder in there, and it's completely separate from your primary domain. So there's no other option but to get a new domain.
I wasn't really sure if that was possible, but now I know.
Yeah.
We have some announcements from us and our producers. If any of our producers out there have an announcement, like a meetup, or if they want to announce they'll be up on stage at a WordCamp or something, let us know. We'll add it in here and get your news out to the world for you. If you are interested in finding a WordPress meetup somewhere around the world, you can go and check out places at meetup.com/pro/WordPress. The next WordPress Victoria meetup is on June 1st. This is an online meeting, so be sure to check it out and see if it's your kind of thing. We have the link here in our show notes. And there are 4 WordCamps happening around the world this month. You can check them out at central.wordcamp.org. Keep checking back every week. Keep an ear out, and we'll tell you what's happening for the month. And if anybody's interested in reaching out to us, we do have a real brick and mortar address that you can send in art or notes, or you can even send in checks if you feel like donating to us. You can find that address in our show notes. And we also have virtual addresses too, which are right there as well. And today's plugins we covered were...
I covered up the annual archive by Twin Pictures. It improves on default WordPress archive shortcode or widget. It improves the sidebar widget, and it lists daily, weekly, monthly, annually, and decade-wise. All really good. I gave it a 5 dragon rating. Go check it out. Annual archive.
And I covered AI Search Bar by Infinity. We just lost power.
Yeah, did you?
Yep.
That's a weird thing to have happen.
Yeah, well, I'm on my laptop for the connection, so everything else, how long do I have on the main monitor here?
It's got about 20 minutes.
Okay, well, I lost my show notes though, because they're on the other monitor that went dead.
No, that's not good. Okay. Wow, that's weird that you lose power. It's hot there, but shouldn't have caused the power grid to go down. Maybe it'll pop back.
Maybe.
Yeah.
Hang on, I might be able to get my show notes up on my laptop.
Yeah, well. All right. Well, at any rate, you talked about the AI search bar by Infinity Softtech. It was pre-made search bar, uses one shortcode, easy to add to your site, on-page, post, or template, but it was given a 2 dragon rating.
Yes, because it didn't quite work the way expected.
We're going to wander into question and answer time, see if we can get this show out before everything shuts down there.
It's question and answer time with John and Amber.
Good thing I have the cable modem there on battery backup.
Yeah, I was just saying, I'm so grateful for the battery backup here.
All right.
For some reason, my show notes aren't opening on my laptop. It's just thinking.
Oh, that's because it's upset. All right. Well, I'll read your questions out. I guess I get to talk more here today. All right. All right. First question Amber has for me. Elementor has added a built-in AI for help with coding and whatnot. How many themes or plugins do you think are going to start doing this? Did you have more to say on that, or that's it?
No, I was curious as to, like, my personal thought is that only a few of them are really gonna start adding it right into their core, because otherwise it's gonna cause some issues.
Yeah.
But what do you think? Do you think they're all gonna do it, or?
Oh, there's going to be all kinds of more plugins and everything adding in this stuff to do it. It's like we've talked about it off and on throughout the whole show here today. AI is the big fad right now.
Yep.
You know. Oh, hello.
Hi.
Oh, okay. Sounded like it to cut right out on you for a second there. Okay. At any rate,
No,
yeah,
not yet.
it's just it's a big fad right now, and so they're going to keep producing all kinds of wonderful stuff. So hard to know what's going to happen with it, but I can say that there will be more plugins coming. Not knowing how many there's going to be. Did you manage to get your show notes open yet?
No.
Okay. Well, then I will read your next question. Your next question is, do you think people are going to get better at coding with AI help, or do you think people are going to start forgetting how to do these things themselves? Oh, they're absolutely going to forget how to do it themselves.
You think so?
Yeah. Oh, absolutely. It's a given. If people don't have to remember stuff, think about how many people can remember a phone number now.
Oh, that's true. Hey, I finally got my show notes open.
Oh, good. That means you'll be able to do the last couple of questions. But
Yeah.
it's like how many people are actually capable of remembering a phone number without their telephone in their hand?
Not many people these days, now I think about it. But I mean, part of that is because we don't have to dial it out. And when we look up numbers, we don't see the numbers. We only see the name.
Yeah. All right. You do have a power outage down there or up there. I was just looking it
Yep.
up on the BC Hydro outage map.
I'm going to blame it on the tourists.
Yeah, well, somebody maybe ran into a telephone pole. All right.
Oh, wait a minute. Power came back.
Yep. Well, it does. That means they switched the grid for it, but there is a power outage showing for that area in Lake Cowichan. So,
Yeah.
all right. At any rate, the AI is going to help people, and it's mostly going to hurt the lazy coders. They're the ones that won't be able to do anything, because they'll depend on AI. They'll just tell AI, and AI will write it, and they won't even know if the AI wrote it correctly. Because one of the big things that's happened, and I've seen articles about it, the people that first started using it, like the guy who had it write a plugin for proof of concept, the problem is that AI doesn't follow the proper formats for everything yet. It doesn't properly use security protocols when creating the plugin. It leaves security holes.
No, it's got a basic understanding,
Yeah.
but it doesn't have a full comprehension.
Yeah, it's kind of like a new coder, but it's a new coder that doesn't have to try to remember everything, because it just goes and, oh, I can use this and this and this and this and this. So yeah, it's going to hurt people, and it's going to hurt people. The more people use it, the more it's going to hurt them, because they won't be able to remember everything they need to do. So it will hurt them. And it's the same way of why can't people remember phone numbers anymore, because it's in their phone. They don't have to remember, so they don't bother.
Oh, Hemdium said low-level coding skills will deteriorate further, but maybe a new skill, making effective AI prompts, could become a thing. That could definitely become a thing, because so far AI does not have very good prompts.
That is already becoming a thing. I've seen numerous stuff on Twitter and whatnot. Use these AI prompts to get this information. And one guy is selling an entire course. He already created a course on AI prompts.
Wow.
That's one smart person who sees the immediate future. It'll be valuable for a while, but once people start to figure it out, it won't be as valuable. It's kind of like me when I first created WordPress training courses. I had like 3-4 years of lots and lots of business teaching people how to use WordPress, and then YouTube took over it and all the forums and everything. So my business started to peter off, and eventually I was no longer offering WordPress training courses. So same thing's going to happen with the AI. Somebody's, this one guy selling, he's going to make a lot of money for a while, but it's all going to be disappear on him. So he's got to have something next, but it is those things. All right. Well, I think we will wander on out, give our end of show credits, and remember, everyone listening on the downloads here, if you want to hear the next couple of questions Amber's got for me, and she gets to read them this time because her power's back, and you want to hear those extra questions, go over to the YouTubes and go check out our channel on YouTube. We should get that channel link into the show notes, because I don't see it in the show notes. So we'll get that into the show notes for you. So it's easy click and find to get to the YouTube channel, and just go scroll all the way to the end. It's anywhere from the last 5 to 10 minutes, or maybe sometimes 15. Anyway, we'll let our girl take us on out of here, and we'll see you after the The credits for those that are still listening to this live stream.
Reminders for the show. All show notes can be found at wppluginsa-z.com. And while you're there, subscribe to the newsletter for more useful information delivered directly to your inbox. WP Plugins A-Z is a show that offers honest and unbiased reviews of plugins created by developers because you support the show. Help keep the show honest and unbiased by going to wppluginsaz.com/donate and set the donation level that fits your budget. Help us make the show better for you by subscribing and reviewing the show at Stitcher Radio, Google Play, and in the iTunes Store. You can also leave us a review on our Facebook page using wppluginsaz.com/Facebook. You can also watch the show live on YouTube, check out the screencasts and training videos, and remember to subscribe and hit the bell to get notifications of all new videos. Follow the show on Twitter at WPPluginsA-Z. John can also be reached at his website, johnoverall.com, or email him directly, john@wppro.ca. Thanks for joining us and have a great day.
Thanks for listening to the show. This show is copyright by johnoverall.com. So until next time, have yourselves a good morning, good afternoon, or good evening, wherever you happen to be out there on the globe today.
Alrighty then, let's get the rest of this shoe on the road, folks.
I just have one quick question.
Oh, we had a comment from Hemdian too.
Yeah, he said AI won't live up to all its hype. AS will be the real game changer. What's AS?
I've got something in my hand. Asymmetry. I don't know. Hemdian, tell us what AS is, because I hate acronyms that I've never heard before. I really do. You know,
He did also add something pretty good here. People who rely on calculators too much tend not to spot obvious errors when they've miskeyed a number.
Yep.
A similar phenomenon may happen with over-reliance on AI, which, yeah, that does make sense to me.
It's going to happen. It's a similar analogy that I had about telephone and phone numbers. You know, it's like when I grew up, calculators were not allowed in school. You could use them at home, or you could use them when you're figuring, but it's like taking a test. Could not use a calculator.
Artificial sentience.
Artificial sentience. Okay. Well, that's a whole nother game.
That's a whole different world, man.
Yeah, that's a whole new game unto itself. I hadn't even heard that term before, but just what I think that term means just sounds kind of scary.
Sentient AI.
Yeah. That's what we need. Absolute sentient AI.
That's the scary part of AI.
Yeah. Skynet, here we come.
Yeah, we actually have a company called Skynet. I didn't know that.
Yes, I know. And they started a few years ago, and they're working on AI.
Yeah.
It's
That's kind of scary.
Didn't you guys watch the movie?
Skynet is not a good idea.
I mean, come on, man. Let's not tempt fate.
All right, so my next question is, working with the AIs on sites, I have found it to be a bit frustrating. Finding the right kind of prompt for what I want has not been easy. Do you think prompts will get easier over time, or do you think they're going to keep the prompts the way they are to keep people from being able to get the AI to do everything they want? What do you think?
Well, I can tell you this about the prompts. The prompts are a lot like search was in the beginning.
Okay.
Even Google search in the beginning, you had to have a good notion of what you were looking for. And so the prompts are the same thing. You have to get the right set of keywords in there for it to go fetch what you're after. It's like asking a 2-year-old a question. You have to simplify it down and get it really close and direct to the point. You know,
Okay.
That's basically what it boils down to in the prompts. At least that's my vision of it, at any rate.
All right. So Last question I have for today is, do you think it would be possible for an AI to take over updating, building, creating, and hosting a site all on its own? Or do you think humans will still be needed for those parts?
Well, eventually AI would have that full capability. That's probably at the rate it's going right now, anywhere from 3 to 5 years out. That's my guess. I could be wrong. It could be more exponential than I think it is. But the exponential it'll hit an exponential point and just go. But yes, it'll eventually be able to do that. But the humans will still be needed to go plug in the hardware, go manage the hardware from time to time. Go in there when a hard drive fails on the hardware, humans got to go in there and replace the hardware. But that doesn't take very intelligent humans. That takes an average intelligent human to replace hardware. Because especially if the AI says, I need this hard drive and this stack of this bay replaced, tells them what and where to go do it. So yeah, it'll eventually be able to do it. It'll be able to take over all of it and host the sites, because hosting is a matter of getting a server, configuring the server, setting the server all up, and then setting up the space for websites to be hosted.
Well, creating and building a website, though, is kind of like cooking a recipe. It needs that tweak here and change there in order to really be...
Well, what'll happen is all the AI sites will become all the plain same and easily to understand. Yeah, and Hemdian had another thing. The machine and person of interest was an artificial sentience. Yeah, well, yeah, it was a true intelligence. It was beyond... artificial. It was, depends on what your belief system is. Humans are artificial intelligence, because we're not gods, and supposedly gods created us and gave us intelligence. So humans are actually artificial intelligence according to the gods. And now that we're playing God, what we're creating, given intelligence to, is artificial intelligence, because it's artificial from our intelligence. So in essence, everywhere you move down the line and have intelligence, the person above it that created it or helped it come into existence is everything below it's artificial.
Amazing how many philosophical conversations are birthed from talking about AI.
Well, yeah. It is quite entertaining. And artificial sentience is self-directing. It won't need prompts, and in some cases, it may disagree with when you're trying to do and not obey. Well, yeah. Yeah.
Yep.
Absolutely.
That's the scary part of AI, when it becomes sentient.
Yeah, well, that's it. It becomes sentient, man. It's really going to be a problem. Is it going to be the good machine or the evil machine?
Yeah.
But maybe that's what God thought when he created us. Is this going to be good or evil? Well, it turns out we got both.
Well, maybe we'll have both then.
And actually, it kind of, as far as the universe goes, you got to have that balance. So, got to have the yin and the yang. You got to have the good and the bad. You got to have the dark and the light. It's all got to have. It's got to have its opposite to balance it out. Because if you only have one of something, it eventually goes out of balance and the whole thing falls apart. So
true.
Yeah, the thing about this, AI definitely gives you a lot of philosophical paths to wander down and see where it takes you. But
really does. I do hope that companies don't start using AI anytime soon, though, because it's not ready to be used. I mean, you can't even get AI to help you with CSS code and have it actually build a CSS thing to help you with anything and have it work yet.
Mm-hmm.
It doesn't work yet. So I hope that they wait before they really start integrating. Like when I mentioned earlier, WordPress is talking about integrating it into their core.
Yeah.
I'm a little worried about that too.
Yeah.
Because if you have AI in the core and they set it up to do something automatically, it's going to break things a lot at this point.
I was surprised when I did the update to Elementor. I think it was late last week. I did the update to Elementor, and then I went to edit a page, and it popped up and said AI. I was like, what?
Yeah.
What's this? And so I went and explored it all, and then they didn't even have any clear instructions on how to use it. Which
No,
just
they don't.
Annoyed me to no end. It's like, you tell me about something really cool and new, but you have no information on how I would use this. I've just got to wander around until I run into the wall that is the new AI.
Yeah, you
you've
just
integrated.
basically have to play with it until you figure it out.
Yeah, that's basically it. No, they threw it in there and they don't even know how it works. I think they threw it in there so they could be the first ones to say, we've got AI in our stuff. So,
That does make sense.
you know, because they're the first page builder to throw it in there. And
Although they do also very clearly state that anything written by the AI may not be correct. And it may not work.
Well, they do clearly state that. It is experimental, and that's the problem with it. But it is what it is. And companies will introduce it. Some will introduce it faster than others. The ones that introduce it early will introduce it with all kind of caveats like, you know, we think this is cool, but it may not work for you. But it's cool. We got the cool factor here. Yeah, they're already using AI, and it'll only become more as time goes by. Yeah, that's Hemdian says they're already using AI, and it'll only become more as time goes by. Oh yeah, absolutely. It's just going to keep increasing. It's going to keep increasing. They want it to be there. They need the AI to be there. They need to. I can't even go into it. If you want to find out what I think about this particular subject of it, go tune into the Oasis over at Odyssey.
Well, there is something about the tech industry.
Mhm.
They are having a problem hiring people, especially in the security sector. They have a 68 hire out of the 100 spots they have vacant.
Yeah.
And it's been creeping down. I mean, it's recently gone from 65 to 68 out of 100.
Mhm.
So it's getting up a little bit, but not enough.
Yeah.
And I've been reading a lot of things that are talking about different ways they might be able to use AI to help them to compensate for the lack of people
Yeah.
in the industry. So
Yeah. Well, the thing is, though, is I wouldn't trust AI with my security right now.
no, it's really good at cracking security, but it's not very good at creating security.
Well, that's because it's a massive computer that's running the algorithms to see if it can crack through the encryption code. That's a whole different thing than preventing it.
Exactly. So it's really great at cracking security, really bad at creating security right now.
Yeah.
So I hope that the companies don't lean too heavily on AI. Not yet. We have a few more years minimum before we can start using AI for real, I think.
Oh, absolutely.
Oh,
Absolutely.
with that,
I think we should call it a show. And thanks, everyone, for listening to the show and those that come out bother to the YouTube areas. And thanks, Hamdan. We always greatly appreciate it. And it's always fun when you've got lots of input for the show.
hang on one sec.
What?
What is ELIZA program?
What?
Do you remember the ELIZA program from the days of BASIC? AI is just a glorified version of the same thing. More capability, but still just as dumb.
I don't remember Eliza. I barely remember BASIC. That was the first thing I learned to write in was BASIC, but I don't remember Eliza. I'm sure it's probably something I encountered, but I don't remember it.
Okay. Sorry, I was just curious about what ELIZA program was.
Yeah, well, it's got to be something from the days of BASIC, which goes all the way back to the 60s, 70s, and early 80s. You know,
Excellent. I have a new rabbit hole to dive down.
Yeah, I learned BASIC back in the late 70s, so. And that was the first thing I wrote in.
Well, thanks everyone for showing up, and thanks Hemdian for coming to the show. Always enjoy your additions to the show.
All right, well, let's carry on with a little bit of music to carry us on out of here. Take care, y'all.
These are the days of thunder. We're gonna make time stand still. A quarter after midnight, and I'm watching the wall. Sometimes I feel so uptight, I just can't sleep at all. Every day doing the same old thing, we're losing time. The weekend comes, we gotta have some fun and rewind. These are the days of thunder. We're gonna make time stand still. We gotta feel the hunger, hanging over the edge just to taste the thrill. I feel the rope tightening, Where is it said you have to be half dead to survive? These are the days of thunder. We're gonna make time stand still. We gotta feel the hunger hanging over the edge just to taste the thrill. These are the days of thunder. We're gonna make time stand still. We gotta feel the hunger hanging over the edge just to taste the thrill. These are the days of thunder. We're gonna make time stand still. We gotta feel the hunger hanging over the edge just to taste the thrill. These are the days of thunder.
Alrighty, folks. That's all we've got for you now. Take care. Bye-bye.
Take care.
Oh my god, that is amazing!
Oh no. Obviously, we just lost.